Hello, Mr. Allenton. I'm Michael Stanley. My group submitted their project, their final project earlier today, which I, like an idiot, was not a part of. We did have a couple conversations over email, and we planned to do it today around 4:30. But I work all the time and got off work today. Was super tired. Decided to take a nap at like 2 o'clock. Didn't wake up till 7 o'clock, which put me in this position right here to have to record this by myself and just talk about the class. I don't know if you'll accept this as my final project, but I have to turn something in because I can't go without those 15 points. First off, I'd like to thank you for this course. It was very enjoyable. I enjoy working with kids, and youth sports has always been something that I could see myself getting into. I haven't had the chance to have my own youth, like little league team yet, but that is something I will be doing in life, and I can honestly say this course has given me a lot of insight and knowledge that I didn't think of before this. So I'm just kind of going to go through the learning modules like week by week and explain what I got from it, or what I appreciated about it. First week we're talking about like our coaching philosophy, and I think my coaching philosophy for youth sports, I've always kind of said this, which it was stated a lot throughout this course, is about how having fun is the most important part, which has always been obvious to me. Because as a kid, there's no need for extra stress, or there's no need for stress, period. You're playing the sport because you love it, so you're playing it to have fun because you're a kid, right? So have fun. I think my philosophy as a coach of a youth team, I think my goals would obviously be to teach them life skills and teach them, how to be proper young men and women, and how, give them some key knowledge to have a little bit easier life. I think, sports are one of the greatest teachers in the world. I've learned so many different things that have helped me throughout this life through sports. I've always been a 3-sport athlete. Played football since the day I could walk, really. Started when I was 8, when I was 5. Started basketball and baseball when I was 5. As I grew up, baseball got a little slow for me because I like running around, so I stuck to basketball and football, and then got into track. And my coaches, even my little league coaches, I still keep in touch with them today. Actually, one of my little league coaches comes into my work all the time, and we just sit down and talk and just reminisce on the old days. And it's honestly something I'm very grateful for, because before he came into my work, it was just somebody that was like on my heart and mind, because your youth sport coaches can really shape and mold you to who you become as an adult. So, and I haven't got a chance to tell him, that he was one of my favorites, but he knows. Anyways, my youth sport philosophy definitely would be have fun, teach them some great life skills, but also motor skill development. At a young age, sports are what could turn you into that athlete. I think all kids have that ability to be, a good athlete. Some are born with it more than others, but there's nothing that you can't develop and can't work on. And I think, in the right situation, the right setting, any kid can develop any skill. Which kind of goes into week 2, which is the specialization, which is something that before that week I didn't really give much thought to, on whether having a kid play one sport over multiple sports. But when you break it down, it seems very obvious to me that you should definitely be a multiple sport athlete as a child. There's no need to stop yourself from having any experience in life, because experience is the best teacher. And if you only play one sport throughout your whole life, you're missing out on a whole lot of other worlds and a whole lot of other lessons that you could learn. So I'm definitely all for multiple sport athletes, and I'm against specialization at a young age, because there's so much research and facts behind it when it comes to kids becoming burnout. I think as a youth, you don't know what you want for your life. I mean, I'm 22, and sometimes I feel like I don't know what I want for my life. So I couldn't imagine at age 8 just specializing at one sport, because that's gonna just block me from experiencing so many other avenues that could actually be what I would rather do. So, just when it comes to specialization, can't have it, especially the overuse injuries that come with it, the burnouts that come with it, I think the pressure that comes with it, especially because most specialization athletes are, in more competitive arenas, which, as a kid, I mean, yeah, competition's great. Playing against higher levels of competition will make you a better athlete, and it brings new challenges, but, there's no need to get overstressed or to get too much pressure put on you when you're even 10, 11, 12. It's too young to have all that pressure put on you, I think, and that can affect you, I think, psychologically, which that kind of leads into readiness. That is another area that I learned a lot from. I think I was a special case of readiness when I was a kid, because the main points in the readiness week were about how you have to have, what size is the child, are they physically ready, and then mental development, are they mentally ready to understand the game, and then, combining those in all shapes and forms and fashions, because there's some kids that may be oversized, or not oversized, but maybe bigger, more physically developed, but, might not have the mental readiness, and then the opposite end of the spectrum. It might be kids that are underdeveloped, but are, underdeveloped physically, but are very mentally ready and prepared to play the game. I think personally for me this week, that week of learning kind of hit home, because I was always the person that was more physically underdeveloped, but because just for football, really. I was more physically underdeveloped, but because of how much I love the sport and my passion for it, I was always, I think, mentally ahead of the game. That kind of sounds like bragging. I don't want that to be bragging. I was always, where I was, or maybe ahead a little bit mentally, to make up for being undersized. And I think it helped me a lot, because being undersized helped me focus on different parts of my game, the intricate details of football, so that once I finally did hit a growth spurt and I did become, as big as everybody else on the team, I was one step ahead mentally as well as caught up physically. So, I mean, that helped me a lot. I might have stated this throughout this course. I played quarterback in high school, played quarterback in college, went to school actually close to OU. It's called Hocking. It's a junior college. I went there to hopefully get more scholarships so I could play at a bigger university. Unfortunately, was injured my second to last game of my sophomore year. Broke my collarbone. Had to get surgery on it. It's of my throwing arm. I'm cleared by a doctor. I can play, but when it comes to giving out scholarships, which is a lot of money, the people I was talking to, I had a couple scholarships on the line. Once I got hurt, the scholarships got pulled just because they didn't know if I would recover and be the same player I was, which is understandable because it's a business. You can't give away, multi-thousands of dollars to somebody who might not be able to bring what you thought they could to your team. So that's kind of why I'm here at OUL, just getting my degree, which is, it's all good. Anyways, back to the topic of readiness. I just jumped off topic. It's cool to think about all ends of the spectrum when it comes to physically ready and mentally ready and even emotionally ready. You can't ever force a kid to play a sport that they don't want to. You have to, I think, give them that option. You have to break it down for a child as to, the challenges that will come with the sport, what will be required of them to play that sport, and also, like what they can expect. And then you just let them loose, let them go have fun. I think specialization and readiness really lead into the next week. Seems like you set this learning schedule up with some sort of thought. That leads into burnouts. Specialization, obviously, we know can cause a lot of burnouts, and we know if you don't take in all the factors of readiness, it can also cause a child to be burnt out and stop playing a sport. I think there's very simple ways to avoid kids being burnt out, but obviously burnouts still happen because not everybody takes into account the factors of that they go into it. That their physical readiness, their mental readiness, their emotional readiness. The world's not perfect. Unfortunately, we have parents that try to live vicariously through their kids and either force them to specialize or force them into a sport that they don't want to be in, and cause the child to resent that sport or even resent that parent. I've actually seen this firsthand. I wrote about it in one of the discussion boards. It was one of my close friends, still close friends. I stopped playing basketball for my school probably around 5th grade. Just kind of specifically for this friend because he was more into wrestling, so I thought I'd get into it too, it was a fun sport. I enjoyed it, but that was something that was his passion, that he really liked. So, long story short, I got burnt out on wrestling by freshman year, because you have to cut all this weight, and I was sick of cutting weight because it stopped me from being able to gain weight and gain muscle for football, which was my passion. So in the end I chose football over wrestling, which made me stop wrestling. But for my friend, he was fine with it. He kept wrestling, but his dad was I think just overly assertive when it came to that sport. I think his dad wrestled in high school or something, so maybe he had some personal issues, or not personal issues, personal interest in investment into seeing his son do better than he did or something. But ultimately, this dad ended up overpressuring his child and made it kind of seem more like work than it did seem like a sport. And me and my friend, his name's Dylan, we had many conversations to her, and he would always tell me man, I love wrestling, but I'm just sick of being forced to do it. I wish I could feel like I'm doing it for myself and I'm not doing this just because my dad's telling me to. And ultimately, it turned out that Dylan quit his junior year, and he was a state placer. He was somebody who could have received scholarships for this, for that sport. But life. Then that goes into the micro coaching sessions, which I enjoyed a whole lot. I'm a hands-on person. I'm a doer, not, I like being involved and active. So the micro-coaching sessions were enjoyable. Coming up with my own coaching, session and routine was something that I really liked to do. Get the gears turning, thinking about, future coaching lessons that I might be able to do for some kids. And when you get to doing things like the micro coaching sessions, it makes you think in ways you didn't before. Hold on, man. Go away. I gotta do this homework. It's my little brother. Anyways, so like I was saying, the micro coaching sessions was something that I enjoyed. Made me think about things that I didn't before, because I'm used to being in the player mind state, and switching it over to thinking as a coach and thinking about the ways to teach a skill or teach an aspect of a sport. It's kind of something that I've really enjoyed. And then the final two projects, which were the moral and life skills development, where I was supposed to act like a coach, like I was at a meeting, or like I was at a parent-player meeting. That was cool. I made a lot of different cut takes or cut scenes of me trying to make my video and act like I was the coach, because I kept laughing. I thought it was funny that I was trying to be like pretend that I was the coach when I'm really just talking to my iPad. But no, that was enjoyable, to act like I'm at a banquet, or to relay my personal goals and my plans for the season to my imaginary team. Again, it was just me thinking in a different mindset as a coach rather than a player, which is things that this course has brought out of me. And then the parent education, that's something that is always very important. I imagine it happens everywhere, but I have plenty of stories from my youth sport days of parents just getting out of hand, a little wild. I could go into that, but it's no big deal. I think educating the parents of youth sport athletes is something that is very important and something that's not done enough. Being able to, like as a coach, to relay, what your goals are for the season and what your expectations are of the parents as well as the kids, and being able to have the parents on your side just would make for such a smoother season. If you can educate those parents on how they're supposed to act, or how what is ideal for them, the ideal way for them to act towards their children and towards say even the other team, the other children, the other coaches, to be respectful and things of that nature. It just makes for a better experience, I think, for the kids. Less drama, less stress, but it doesn't always work out that way. There's plenty of videos like the ones you've shown in week 7 about those parents getting in a brawl at a wrestling match. I've actually had something like that happen at a wrestling tournament. It's not good for sports. It's not good look for the kids. It would make the kids want to retract from that sport, which is not what we want, because sports are something that are awesome. They're something that can shape a child's life. That's the end of my little cheat sheet and what I had. So just gonna go off top. Again, sorry I wasn't able to do the voice thread. I hope that you accept this as my final project. I appreciate the knowledge and the lessons of this course. I had a good time, and thank you.